Thanks for joining me today. I am back with the Mythomorphia by Kerby Rosanes. And I'm sorry it took so long. I haven't been feeling well where I live in Wisconsin. It's extremely cold. It's not good with my arthritis. So I kind of had to hold back on some coloring a bit. But you think after a while you'd get used to it, but sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. So anyway, what I did is, I can get my stuff together here, is I went over, last time I did Inktense, okay, for the sky. If you can see that close up here. Okay, I went over it with some matching colors to kind of give it a little bit more oomph. And I'm still using the Castle Arts, the Soft Touch. I used Lavender Light, and then I used Mauve, and I thought these were pretty good matches for the sky. So that's what I did. So, and then I was trying to rack my brain about the snow, and I figured, well, I heard that other people just leave it white. So I'm going to go around that. And start with something else. So what I did is I brought out my ivory black and my Payne's gray. And what that allowed me to do, if you can see, is do the bridge to add some dimension, to make it come out, to make it actually look like you can actually see that it's covered, if that makes any sense. So I added ivory black to the bottom to match the curve of the structure. And then I did the same to the other side there. But when I did that, I also used a light color, a warm gray light, and I'm going to continue using that over the dark. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing just by the bridge part. And I'm just gonna, it doesn't look light, but it's a warm gray light because it's a warm scene. It's not, it may seem contradictory because, you know, with the snow and being cold, but that's how my brain operated. So whether or not that makes any sense remains to be seen. So I'm just gonna do some coloring today and show you what I've been doing. It's been very busy around here too. The people south of us, Milwaukee and Kenosha, into Illinois, are preparing for a huge snow event. And I hate to sound optimistic, but they can stay south of us. That's I mean, those poor people, they have to deal with it. They have to shovel, try to go back and forth, or deal with closings and stuff like that. But it's just a big nightmare. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, though. But it's how it happens, you know. So, whether or not you can actually see that, or if it does any good. So I'm just coloring over the shadow parts with the light. So, and then I'm going to go back with the Payne's gray and then go through there with the creases and the lines and just kind of go right in there. Can you see that? Yeah. And then just kind of color right in there like that. So I guess my whole finger, they call it a boutonniere, you know, with the finger, and it's really inflamed. So, but I'm doing the best I can. I didn't take anything for it because I don't need it, thank goodness. But anyway, where did I go? Okay, Payne's gray. Alright, so, and then I hope everyone's doing okay. It's just, I got a new subscriber, so that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna continue with that. I don't color too fancy sometimes. It depends on what the project is that I'm working on. So, and the other thing I noticed is that I completely missed a spot with a tree on the bottom because it overlaps the water, and then there's also the drift of snow, you know, when it starts to melt. And I didn't know where the line ended and started again. And I know why, because I have astigmatism, but I figured it out, so. All right, so then we're just gonna go back into here and then color. People enjoy other people's stories and talking when you do videos. I mean, what people look for when they're coloring, or just being curious to say, hey, what's this person doing today? You know, that'd be interesting to know about that. And the other thing that's kind of screwed up on this is that there's a big line in the middle of the coloring book, but that's workable though. You can just kind of go back into that with the ivory black on there. And just kind of make it look good. Which was my next point as far as doing the mountains with the snow. I thought about doing layers of either the gray. There's not too many grays though in this color pencil collection. And I wanted to stick with just one brand with this project. So I'm going to work around that because they have so different colors of blues. And I thought that would be a very nice option to go from the deep blues and then hopefully maybe darker ones that keep the outline. So I might go back again with some white over it or just keep it white. We'll see how it looks and then come back to it, depending on how long or tedious it is. But I don't think it's tedious at all because I'm enjoying it. I like working with this, you know. It seems like a lot, and it is, but I think when you take your time, you enjoy it, it's just, you know, it's nice. So, but my other thing before I continue with the coloring here is I wanted to address, they have these, whether or not you want to call them snowflakes or drifts, and I outlined them with blue on the bottom because it's a different shape, so I kept them that way. I'm going to try and make those pop with a white. Not sure how it's going to look with the blue pencil. I could go over it and under it, like an underpainting, with a deep blue for a shadow. So that might work. That's probably a good idea. We'll see. Stay tuned for that. Okay. So, the other thing I'm dealing with is my gastritis today. Ugh, not good. But I don't take too much for it. All right, now that's part of the bridge. Now, because the top of it is snow colored, the artist drew lines in it, and I'm going to go over that with some primary blue. Oops, I'm too far up. Primary blue. Okay, and then up in here to just, you know, to make it look like some shadows there. I don't know if you can see those or not. There, just a little squiggly line. After a while, you start to see things like right here. It looks like a smiley face. That's cute, right? You find something happy in the type of theme that we're coloring today. Oh, okay. See these? Oh, that's too far over or not? Okay. Oops, what happened? I lost. I'm doing this here. Okay, so sorry about that. I pressed the wrong button on my phone. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing there. Last thing you want to see is the light bulb from the ceiling. Okay. Okay. Underneath there. I'm just going over the top there a little bit because you can see that there's land there. I have to control my brain because lately, does that make sense? Control your brain. There's like a trigger. You see a word and you start singing to yourself. Like, oh, a song just popped in my head. I wonder what it was. So I don't know if anybody gets that way, but it does happen, right? So, and then I'm just gonna go around the border. Oh, there. That's not too fancy. Here we go. On that one. Pink. Over there. Okay. Now I'm still debating what color to do the bridge underneath there with all those lines. And I missed a spot already, so I'll have to go back and go to the Payne's Gray underneath there. Right here. There we go. How's that look? There we go. Yeah, I have my camera over a little bit more today. So that's how that is with that shadow work there. Then I'm going to continue that theme. I don't know how much of this I'm going to do in the video today or just come back and show how the whole thing looks because there's so many crevices in this, you know. I mean like the black lines that he put in here. And I want to go through every single one of these, you know. But not yet. So what I'm doing now is to go back to the ivory black, and this is for underneath here by the bird, and because you can tell where there's a lot of shadow work and where the line ends and begins again. So there you can see, at least I can see here, is this area where all the heavy lines are. I'm gonna color that in with the ivory black because below it looks like water washing through, and you can kind of see that, if that makes sense. Go back to that. I think one of the reasons why I'm not going to use ivory black for the other ones is it could be too dark. You only use it for certain areas. At least I do. You're going to see, it does look a little opaque. I don't know if you look over there, because that I covered with a watered down white Liquitex, that acrylic paint that I had used. I put it over that. You know, I thought it made a really good effect, you know, to mimic the water and the frozen snow. So. Go back to Payne's Gray again. Back to the light color. Hang on a second. I'll need a little sharpener. Because this particular project is so detailed, one of the things that helps is the fact that it is detailed in certain areas. It makes it easier to see where you can place shadows in the light. I kind of work backwards, and what I mean by that is that sometimes when you see something as light, you know, like on top of a mountain, and you can like leave it white to give that illusion of snow, or just by not doing anything. You can also do something like a darkness to it, by going over what's already there that's dark. Now, I don't know if that makes sense, but when you do that, it adds a little bit more shadow to it without having to put too much color into something else. So I'm not sure if anyone can understand my way of thinking when I do stuff like that or talk like that, but Payne's Gray. So basically what I'm doing, I'm just interchanging the three types of grays in the black. I usually don't use black very often in my colorings. I think when you do, it depends on what you're doing with it. You know? For sure. a little farther back and take a peek how that looks. You can see it's starting to shape up. You can see the overlay over there with the water. You know, it's trying to come through, and then you have, you know, solid ice over there. And then you can go like an icicle type thing over there. So it's coming along pretty good. So I know it's here. I'm gonna go in this corner there. I think maybe some, excuse me, if anybody's watching these things, my videos, maybe you can come up with some conversation starters, like what are you up to today? What do you do to get someone engaged in conversation? The other reason for asking is because I'm in the middle of doing some Bible studies, and they have turned out to be quite interesting. So I don't want to get into the religious aspect because that's not my place. But being able to study different theologies that have been here for so long is quite fascinating. So I think the only one I should say the only one, several of them that I never got into were the Eastern philosophies, or were they the Westerns? Maybe the Westerns. Not all of them. You talk about the alchemy of the numbers and stuff like that. That's way beyond me at the moment. I don't even know how people can even write that, let alone understand it. But it does make you wonder about TV shows that get influenced by it. You know, Star Trek, movies like Star Wars. So I think that's good over there. Video is running a little long, 24 minutes, but this gives you an idea of what the new update is. Okay, so I wanted to share that. I'm going to do some more work, but tomorrow I won't be around for a couple hours, and I think today was pretty good in getting this out there. So I thank you so much to my subscribers and anyone who just happens to bop along on YouTube and say, hey, let's check out that video. Are you into coloring, you know, yada, 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 quote Seinfeld. But anyway, so that's what I got. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a good day. Bye-bye.